KCC1.
Listening to the definition section.
Yeah, but then I was just like, let me listen to the rest of it too.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to start sharing my screen with you. Let me know if you can see my screen.
Mhm. Yes.
Okay, so last time we were meeting, we left off on this question. And this question was asking us, in what way does law require that the seller tender us our document? And we found out that they must put a hold on the conforming goods at our disposition, and that they must give notice to you when they're ready, and they must make them available to you for a certain amount of time.
Mm.
Here in the law in the UCC is where it states the exact same thing. Here is where that comes from. This is in Article 2. So you started with Article 1, but you're going to get into Article 2, and then that's where you'll get into this information. But it's Article 2-503. This is the manner in which the seller must make sure that we receive our goods, how they tender us delivery of our goods.
Mhm.
And they basically let you know right here in law that they are required to put the hold on it at your disposition, but to notify you and give you reasonable time to take delivery of the good. Take it for value.
That's why we have like 20 days or so when they send us the statement.
Yeah, before, because we want to make sure that we get it off before that next bill comes, that next statement comes, so that you don't default. But even if you do default, it's okay. But
Yeah.
um that's why I just recommend getting your bill and doing what it is that you have to do so that it can go through all of the proper channels without any
Mhm.
problems. But either way it go, you're still going to be running into that next bill month's time. So do you understand that this is the reason why our bills come positive?
Yes, because it has to be conforming. If it's non-conforming, it would be zero or negative.
Right. So according to
And we would
our
have had to
contract,
made a claim, and we didn't make a claim.
right, we didn't follow the instructions. We did not use the actual good, but only use the services.
Mm.
So our bill is going to come to us. It is required that it come to us in the positive according to our contract. However amount our contract says, or if our contract says for whatever amount of purchases that we make. They
Mhm.
must make sure that they send us payment representing credits, but holding them at a disposition of the buyer.
Mhm.
So we're gonna continue the transfer of the documents to create money. So who is a good faith purchaser? A good faith purchaser is someone who gives value. So we know that according to Article 1, and you'll even see it again in Article 2, that we are the buyer in ordinary course. So when we decide to sign and accept, we are purchasing that document in good faith. Whenever we transfer that document to another and they obtain and acquire that document, that is making a purchase. So they are also considered to be good faith purchasers if we decide to use the documents, because good faith is what the UCC imposes. So if you decide to make use and give value to this document, then you are entering into commerce in good faith. A good faith purchaser acts in honesty according to the Uniform Commercial Code. And a good faith purchaser also has no knowledge of any defects in the title or transfer of it. So, someone who is receiving a document, even if you want to say that it's us receiving our bills, we accept that bill with no knowledge that that document has any defects or title to the title when we transfer that document.
Mhm.
That's what we're saying. And when a good faith purchaser, like a secure party or a third person, accept the document, they're also saying the same thing. They don't know if anything is wrong with the document. They don't know of any defects. That way, it imposes the liability on another to point out those defects. A secure party is going to be considered a good faith purchaser. That third party who we transfer our document to, pursuant to the instruction on the assignment on the agreement, they're going to be considered a good faith purchaser. Have you ever heard of good faith purchaser before?
Um, just in the UCC, that's it.
Okay, so any person who accepts a document in good faith, according to the UCC, transferring that document, signing that document, according to the way that you must comply with the UCC, they are considered to be a good faith purchaser.
Yeah, because it's a sale or a lease. So on the receiving end, you're purchasing.
Exactly. Yes. And today is going to be good too because at the end of this, we have like a few more questions in volume one. We're going to
Mhm.
kind of summarize and I'm going to let you give me a little bit of feedback. And then we actually going to go into volume two today.
Yeah, I'm ready. I studied.
So, who are your goods entrusted to? Who are your documents entrusted to? Your goods are entrusted to merchants. So, the merchant seller who you're in business with, these documents are entrusted to them by the bailee, by the one who actually is tendering or is holding your contract. They entrust that the merchant seller who you have a contract with will make sure that you receive this good. They will make sure that you receive the bill. They know that you're going to receive the service, but another person, a third party, entrust your receipt, your bill into the merchant to make sure that you receive it.
Mhm.
So after contracting with the merchant is tender a good and deliver the payment of that good to you. So when they say payment, make payment, the payment that they're speaking about is payment of the good, payment of the actual document, receiving that document
Yeah, because they're selling it to us every time.
every time. The bailee or the financial institution trusts that the merchant will deliver the goods to you through that destination contract
Mhm.
or through the shipment contract. Through the shipment contract, the merchant know the destination of his customer, which created that destination contract. So that's why the financial institution entrusted the document into the merchant versus sending it directly to you. Because that merchant seller has a contract with you, the financial institution trusts that they'll make sure you get the good.
Mhm.
They extended the loan to the merchant seller, and they also entrust that that merchant seller would deliver the receipt to you later in small payables. So they are entrusted to these merchants or seller. How do a seller breach a contract? A seller breach a contract by selling a non-conforming good. If they sell a non-conforming good, tender it to you exactly non-conforming, tender it to you with your credits already showing zero balance, negative, they bear the risk of those loss that they are entitled to.
They bear the risk of the loss because we won't perform because we don't have to.
We don't have to. We don't
Mhm.
have to do anything because if we receive a bill that's not conforming and it says zero or negative $600, we're automatically anybody who receives that bill is going to be like, okay, I don't owe anything.
And so they won't get their credits because we didn't deliver it. But they would just again claim it at the end, so it doesn't matter.
If we don't, right? But if they automatically send your or apply those credits to your account, then they bear the risk of the loss of the credits themselves. If they send you your bill in positive, you may not never think that you are supposed to take that document for value and can use those credits. That's
Hmm.
them not bearing the risk of the loss of the credits because you may not do that.
Hmm.
If they automatically send your credits to you, then they bear the risk of loss. And no merchant seller is going to bear the risk of loss. That's the purpose of the contract, to make
Hmm.
sure that they benefit. That's how, or the only reason why they even got the check from the third party, because they presented a document that shows that they are to benefit from it. And that's going to be the exact same reason why we receive value from a bank, because we're going to be presenting a document that shows that we are to get value from it.
Hmm.
And that price is to be paid to the merchant seller who we have a contract with. So they're going to breach their contract if they send a non-conforming good first. If
Hmm.
they send a non-conforming good for accommodation, then they did not breach the contract because they are sending us this non-conforming good because we made a claim to the conforming good to receive those credits. So when they send us a non-conforming good in the mail later, if it's applicable, it will be for accommodation, not due to a breach of the contract.
Hmm.
So what is sale on approval? Have you ever heard of sale on approval before?
No, not really.
Okay, so just looking at sale on approval? Just those words. What come to mind? What do you kind of think about just looking at sale on approval? You just told me that these companies each time are making a sale to us. So what do you think that sale on approval could mean?
Like a sale once we've approved it.
Exactly. Exactly. So that is the way that you want to look at questions, phrases, and words to understand who they're talking about, what they're talking about, and what action may, we take. So what's happening when these bills are being tendered to us? It is a sale on approval. They await for that approval. So
Mm-hmm.
a sale on approval is when goods are delivered for the buyer's use. So each document that we are delivered is delivered and tendered to us for our use. We are to use the good.
Mm-hmm.
The seller awaits for our approval or our acceptance of that good.
Mm-hmm.
We either approve of that good and we're going to pay cash for it, or we accept that good and we're going to transfer and tender it to another.
So I'm going back to what I was learning. It's transfer and then deliver. That's the words that was used.
Right. Because they tender to us,
And so we deliver
to another.
to.
And Article 7 will explain that delivery order.
Ah, okay.
If they are delivered for resale by the buyer, it's considered a resale or a return. So whenever you deliver the document according to who they instruct you to pay it to, then you, the buyer, you're reselling or returning the document. The resale or return is going to be determined by your actions and your contract. If you resell, think about that word resell. If we know that they made a sale to us and we send it back to them, then it could be a resale.
Yeah.
If we return it, then we're returning that document to the person who entrusted it to the seller.
Bailey.
Exactly.
I got all this.
Regardless, when we decide to use this document, use this bill, it's
Mm-hmm.
going to be considered to be a resale or a return. And
And so,
because of a resale or a return, whenever we return anything, we receive a refund. They're going to refund the account the price due to this resale or return of the good.
yeah, because
That's
everything's
what we use.
positive.
Yes, that's what we use in commerce. We accept this debt and assign the debt and defer it, transfer it to another.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because it's not debt like we think it is.
Yeah,
It's
that
credit.
positive is representing a
Yeah.
credit.
It's a big mound
Yeah,
instead of a debt.
but it's all pursued into a credit agreement or a credit contract. So even if you didn't know all of the things that we have learned in value one about these documents and us actually using them in commerce, and this is the value in the beginning, if you just read the title to your contracts, it's going to say credit contract.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like they constantly keep warranting, credit to us, but we just never was taught about credit. Rather, it was on learning about it this way or learning about the credit profile.
Mm-hmm.
But everything that we're doing is obtaining credit. So if you have a debt, then you have obtained credit. That is evidence that you have obtained credit. Claim that credit if you want to obtain it. Use the good after you receive the service.
Mm-hmm.
So value one is very, very important. And this is the last question in value one. What I want you to take and what I really want you to do is to print out your value one and make your binder and put them in order. What you're going to be learning from value one is that what we use in commerce is documents. The value that we should be considering is the value and the price of the actual document.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we're dealing with, and that's what we are delivering to a third party. Never are we tendering it back to the same person who sent it to us.
Mm-hmm.
We are involving a third party. Whether it is the person who they instruct us to pay on the front of the bill or a financial institution.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because they're owed the goods and the seller is owed the price.
Yes. And if that happens, in return, you're going to get the service.
Mm-hmm.
That triangle keeps that medium of exchange, it keeps going around and around and around, creating money.
To support everybody.
Man, to support everybody. Everybody is liable to the other for something. So
Mm-hmm.
we all must act in accordance with the contract to relieve each other of their liability. We have obligations to one another.
Mm-hmm.
And the way or when we use these documents and tender them to another, that is the way we satisfy that obligation to pay the instrument, pay the document, a non-cash payment, not a cash payment.
Yeah, cash is useless.
Useless. Unless you choose to consider it being the value, it is a document of value. It's just a debt obligation note. And it's like, well, I'd rather use my consumer note that represents that debt to be a credit, not cash.
Yeah.
So volume one, definitely your assignment is, if which I already know I told you, but your assignment is going to be to print out volume one in a binder and print it out in order. And all of the notes that you've been taking and the questions that you've been having, you'll be able to utilize the document to actually write down questions or scratch off a question that you no longer have, because we're going to enter into volume two. But I really, really, truly want you to beat volume one into your mind, because I always want you to remember that we're dealing with these documents. Whenever you need a reinsurance of what this document is, go back and view volume one. Volume two is going to put a little bit more on your plate.
That's okay. I'm ready. I think I did a good job of putting it into my head this weekend.
Okay, great. So how did you like the slide presentation of everything?
It's good. You don't even know how good it is until you're just going through it and you're like, holy shit, there's a lot.
Right, right. And that's what I felt like, and that's what I know that printing out that binder is going to do, because not only are you able to see and hear it, but you're able to touch and feel it. And it's going to bring a whole different feel just with even creating it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to bring even more clarity. And then you're going to be able to see the picture like and touch it. And you're going to be like, wow, okay. I was understanding and I got the clarity, but I see it.
Mm-hmm.
So, volume two, we are still dealing with the UCC and its purpose, because we're dealing in commerce with these documents, with these goods. We're not dealing with the service, we're dealing with the goods, the documents, the negotiable instruments, and holder in due course of those instruments and their liability to the instruments, not to pay cash, but to negotiable instruments. So, we're going to think about negotiable instruments, have important questions and answers to hold in due course. And when it comes to liability, these documents, as we just said, or I just previously said, that these documents, everyone is liable to someone. Our liability is of these statements, of these financing statements, these statements of accounting representing prices, credits. You're going to see in a lot of your contracts and your agreements that they refer to credits all the time. Credits, credits, credits. That is going to be the information that is inscribed on the negotiable instrument that makes it so valuable.
Mm-hmm.
The holder of that document receives payment.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to get into a few questions and answers. It's about 68 of them. So definitely remember to, jot down any questions that you have and cross them out as we answer them. Because at the end of volume two, we're going to be answering the questions that you have, and then you'll be entering into your exit exam. And then I'll be making an additional offer to you of volume three.
Ooh.
So it'll be up to you. I definitely recommend and advise it, but I
Oh, yeah,
definitely
no,
will.
I'll take it. No, I already know. I'll take it.
Okay. So, what are negotiable instruments? We know that when we receive our bill, on the back of them, we may see negotiable instruments or we may see N.I, but we know that we're dealing with a document that doesn't have non negotiable on it.
Mm-hmm.
So, what are negotiable instruments? Negotiable instruments are documents that are used for payment and financing. Negotiable instruments are alternatives to cash payments. So they ask us not to send cash. They want an alternative. They want a cash equivalent, something that they consider to be a cash equivalent, which would be a negotiable instrument. These documents that we use in commerce that we are tendered is used for payment and financing. So whenever we transfer it to another, it's going to be for the purpose of financing, purpose of credit. What do you think about that? Do you have any questions?
It's just so powerful. I'm just thinking of documents of title.
Man,
That's it.
and Article 7 gonna get good with it. And you got the definitions of that and the whole detail of it. Like really, but the definitions to sum it up, but you have full detail.
Hmm.
But these negotiable instruments are used for payment and financing. We are tendered these documents as payment so that we can receive financing, a credit, transferring these documents to receive the price on credit. We decide to pay by credit, not cash. And we're not even going to use cash or dollar bill that we know to be cash money. We're going to use a cash equivalent,
Hmm.
a document, a negotiable instrument. Article 3 speaks about that. So that's where you will see a lot of people depending so strongly on Article 3. You'll see them
Hmm.
writing in their memos and
Yeah.
statuses and captions, you know what I'm saying? But really, the only thing that they're talking about is the document. The document being used for payment and financing, but nothing more. There's still Article 4, which describes the collection of these documents. Article
Hmm.
4A, which describes that these documents are transferring funds. And then you got Article 5 that says it's a letter of credit. Article 7 that describes the document of title that you actually have. So it goes beyond Article 3 because you have Article 8 that lets you know it's an investment property, and then Article 9 that lets you know that it's secure transactions.
Wow.
So we have to go deeper than Article 3.
Hmm.
But it's important to know because it's important to know that you have a document in your hand that you can negotiate it.
Hmm.
When you receive it, it's payment, and when you use it, you're using it for financing.
It's just the introduction.
Yeah, it's just the introduction. It's just the beginning. They're letting you know in Article 3 that you receive a negotiable instrument. In Article 2, they let you know it's due to a lease or a sale. In Article 2 and 2A, they let you know it's due to a lease or a sale. And then in Article 1, it lets you know it's due to a transaction that you have with another.
Hmm.
That's just the beginning. That's volume 1. That's how we got here to our first question being what are negotiable instruments? What is the purpose of us receiving this good? What is the purpose?
The transfer.
And so that we can use that document and
Hmm.
receive it as payment and for financing. So each bill that you receive, each small payable that you receive, you have a finance charge, something that isn't comparable to cash.
Hmm.
So you want to transfer that document. We receive these negotiable documents so that we use them. They are sent to us for the buyer's use, our use. We're going to sign it and purchase it and transfer it to a good faith purchaser who's going to execute that document.
Hmm.
100%. So, what are non cash payments? Because when we receive our bill in the mail, they asked us not to send cash. So, if you don't want us to send cash, then what do you want us to send? That above question let us know that they want us to send negotiable instruments, and that negotiable instruments is a cash equivalent. So, it's not cash. So, what forms do a non cash payment take? It take on two of them: a document, a paper, a piece of paper, being a draft, which is your complete bill, and the check that is on the bottom that is detachable.
Hmm.
So the entire paper is a form of non-cash payment, and the electronic EFT, that bottom portion, the ACH, the check portion, is also considered to be a non-cash payment because that is what's going to be used to be deposited to allow this one-time EFT transaction. If you look on a lot of your bills, they let you know once they receive payment, payment of the paper, payment of the check of the draft, then you allow them and authorize them to make this EFT non-cash payment. When we get to a lot of your bills and you look at how to pay or make payments, that's when you'll see that they let you know if you make payment, use a negotiable instrument, you authorize them to make this one-time EFT payment or
Hmm.
deposit. That's correct. That's properly making a non-cash payment. Because they're gonna tell you in your contract, don't send cash. They're gonna tell you in your agreement, which is your bill when you get it, do not send cash.
Hmm.
Because your agreement to pay isn't cash. Your agreement to pay is these statements, these negotiable instruments, these financing documents.
Investment property.
Okay? That personal property that you may invest or a company may invest. Investment property. Non-cash payments. This is what we use to operate through commerce, and we use negotiable instruments to do that, documents to do that. That is how the economy works. That is how commerce works. That is what we really want to circulate and create the money, not necessarily the dollar bills, which is all the debt that they saying they have right now.
Mm-mm. It's like it is like transmitting utility just takes on more.
Yes. It holds a lot of weight, but people not even think about those words though. Like, why
Yeah.
would they do that?
Yeah. No, like that's what I'm thinking of now more and more. Like and circuit, like circuit court, like the
Yes,
exchange, the register, like all this stuff, like it's energy.
100%. That's what creates it. Us coming together
Mm-hmm.
and exchanging, communicating by way of documents, exchanging promises to pay. That's it. We
Mm-hmm.
create that energy. We create that money. We create that flow for as long as we use documents to do that and communicate it. Because we don't have money. This is where it goes back to 1933 when we declare or United States declared bankruptcy. They saying they don't got this cash money that people using and people using it,
I know.
proving them wrong.
Uh,
So they're like, okay, we got to figure something out on a real side of things so that we can keep this medium of exchange happening.
mm-hmm.
We're going to allow for the people to contract to create this equity so that they can use these documents later. This is how we're going to distribute credit to them versus giving them what they want completely. We're going to do it through a third party to create this energy, to create this medium of exchange. So it's not only between two people, but two people and a third party.
Mm-hmm.
But we're just promising to pay. We're promising to pay goods, negotiable instruments to one another. We're promising to make non-cash payments. So we just gonna do what we promised to do pursuant to the contract. Make these non-cash payments. And then I'm gonna show you a few other things once we actually dive into looking at your bills and your agreements. We're gonna look at the CFPB. So I can show you what they have to say to the public about using credit cards. And we know what a credit card is according to Tiller, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, what are some examples of negotiable instruments? We know that we use them to make non cash payments to others in commerce, but what are some examples of them? Checks, drafts, like documentation, promissory notes, and certificate of deposits. Those are the types of negotiable instruments, and these are all of the levels that our documents are going to reach in order to create this medium of exchange or this non cash payment. We have checks, whether they're from the actual finance, your own personal bank, or whether it's the check that you receive on the bottom of a draft. It's a negotiable instrument. The whole document in total, the reason why you received this draft or this check was due to a promissory note, due to a contract that you had with a merchant or a seller. Due to that contract that you had, you received this draft, this check. Because that promissory note, your contract with the seller merchant, was deposited to a bank for value. During the common law contracting, when you contracted with the merchant and seller, the seller transferred that document to a third party. They exchanged those documents, your contract, your promissory note, for value, for the exact amount that you needed, and they deposited that document, those instruments, and created a certificate of deposit. When we decide to use our checks that's on the bottom of those drafts, due to our contract, due to our promissory note that the bank have, they're going to certify our deposit. The third party will, not the merchant or seller. So examples of negotiable instruments is checks, drafts, promissory notes, and certificate of deposits. Things that banks will accept, financing agencies will accept, and actually be able to use. Because they really can't do anything with the cash money. They do that to help deal with the public, to help give them or represent a credit that they withdraw from their account. Instead of them using credit from their account, they use cash. So now we got this bank to convert their credit into cash and convert their cash into credit, because you're going to see documentation of that on your account. You're going to see in a lot of your agreements that they're going to let you know that each balance that you see on your agreement is a credit balance. That's why you're able to utilize your statements that a bank actually sends you. It represents credits, but when you look at that document, it shows a lot of debt. You do the exact same thing with that document. Convert those debits into credits. You have a credit account with the bank. It took all of your personal credit information to open up that bank account so that that account can serve the purposes for credit. So we're going to read a lot of documents like that are considered to be negotiable instruments that you're going to use in commerce to make payment. Do you have any questions, anything to elaborate on what you're thinking?
I'm good.
Okay. So what is negotiability? In your car contract, did you see negotiability?
No, I don't know how to read that stuff yet.
Okay. We're definitely going to get there. Negotiability is going to be something that you see on or in a lot of contracts and agreements.
I
Even you'll
mean,
see
I know
negotiable,
that's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to negotiate.
and they let us know by using this word, negotiability. They let us know that our document is to be negotiated. That's what it warrants, whether you know it or not. They said negotiability.
Really?
What do
See,
you think?
I haven't gone back and looked at it now with my new set of eyes. So,
Right. But even just in general, whether it's on your contract or not, whenever you see that negotiability word, you're going to be thinking about negotiable instruments, and that's what you're negotiating them for the price, not your hard-earned cash from your employment, from your job.
from our slavery.
Okay, man. So a legal concept is what negotiability is. And it's a legal concept that allows for negotiable instruments to be transferred and accepted as a form of payment. It allows for negotiable instruments to be a substitute for cash money. So whenever you see negotiability or whenever you see negotiable instruments on the back of your bill or in that I on the back of your bill, they're warranting you that you're going to be negotiating this document due to a legal concept that allows for you to have rights to the document and transfer that document as a form of payment, a substitute for cash. Legally, you can use negotiable instruments to ensure your payment and performance of a contract. Because that's exactly what we contracted for, to negotiate these instruments, to receive payment of them from one so that we can use them to perform to our contract.
Well, that's why like the promissory notes need to be attached to the security agreements.
Thank you. 100%. And that security agreement and that promissory note is attached to what? A UCC1 financing statement, letting everybody know that this financing happened. The thing is, the security agreement, the rule is, or a rule is that the security agreement does not have to be made publicly. It can just be stored.
Mhm.
But yes, 100%. It can definitely also be attached to a UCC1. The only reason why you want to is because your public information is on there, your social, your address, things of that nature. When you follow the UCC1 financing statement, you're listing just the collateral, property pieces. And then, if you need to look at a security agreement, then that's when you can see all of that personal information. But these documents are what we use in commerce legally to negotiate. Negotiate for a price.
Mhm.
So I love to negotiate. I open up the door for a lot of people to negotiate, but they never negotiate. They normally accept the first thing that I offer. And that is something that is happening every single day. And it's why people are in positions that they're in, because they're
You
straight
know,
up.
that's what I noticed too. Like when I was little, like, or I don't know, maybe it's just, I don't know. But yeah, we used to bargain more, and now it's just take it or leave it.
Yep. But when you bargain, what is it that you're bargaining? The facts. We're not talking about opinions. We're not talking about what you think, what you want, what you believe. We're talking about the facts only. That's what we bargain. So if
Mhm.
you're not talking about the facts, I really don't want to hear it. Where are you getting the facts from? The information, the law. So when you want to bargain, we bargain facts. That's how we make an agreement. And the
Mhm.
facts that we bargain in the agreement that we have with the merchant is that we are to be promising to pay these statements.
Mhm.
It's listed out in bold. And when we get into our Capital One session on October 12th, you're going to see that our contract is according to the Uniform Commercial Code. It is
That's
expressed
crazy.
in negotiability.
I was reading someone complain about my dealership on the Better Business Bureau, and I was reading their answer back, and I was like, yeah,
No
they were
wonder.
like, yeah. Well, but like, yeah, of course, they assume no liability that they did anything wrong. They even said like our contract is approved by the Secretary of the State, like all this. I'm like, damn. Like,
Like, period. Because they did what they were liable to do. They were
yeah,
entrusted a document. They was liable to make sure they got it, and that's what they did. So find another argument.
it's so crazy though. Yeah. But they
Because
don't
this is what
tell
I
you
have to
that.
say.
They don't tell you
No,
that though.
no, because you're supposed to be knowledgeable of what you actually contract and agreed to.
This
And
is
once
what we
you
need to be
are,
learning in school.
this is exactly what we should be learning in
This
school.
is homeschooling for my kids. Thank you.
Yes, 100%. Listen, it's homeschooling for my kids, and the only reason why I started my business, the only reason why,
Me
and
too.
because I got Remedy, I come from nothing. So for me to have discovered this lane and actually benefited from it, I felt entitled to tell somebody who from the hood like me, who come from nothing. Tell
Yeah,
somebody who don't want to be the hoe to make money to pay their bills or take care of their kids. You know what I'm saying? I felt a little bit of an obligation to tell somebody else. That's why I don't be mad when somebody decides to tell what I teach to another, because it's not information that you can hold in. It's
hmm
just not. Like, it's just not.
But it doesn't even matter. They'll know when they come back with questions. They won't have answers because they didn't
Man,
learn. So
they won't have answers because they don't know the
I don't
information.
know
They
it.
didn't take their
Yeah.
time out to
It's a
look
lot.
at the information.
It's a lot. But
Man,
yeah.
but it can
Thank
be
you.
so simple. Like, we just discovered, like, our last meeting, that it's a beautiful picture,
Yeah.
and knowing the information makes it that.
I
And
know.
then we keep getting deeper and deeper. As me and you we keep getting deeper and deeper so that we are understanding.
hmm
We're done over understanding. We've been understanding.
Yeah.
Understanding is what led us to a contract in the first place.
It's overstanding now.
And then now that's what you're doing. Right now, you're overstanding exactly what you did when you were understanding. Once
Mhm.
you overstand what you were doing when you were understanding, then you're going to begin to understand, and you're going to begin to act according to your agreements and your contracts.
Oh
It's
yeah.
inevitable that that's going to happen, because it's going to become second nature once you get the information and have properly learned what it is you should be doing.
hmm I'm so excited.
And I just
I'm
be
so
wishing that.
tired, but I'm so excited.
Man, I know, right? And look, by design, 9 times out of 10. How many
Right?
people can tap out before they, you know, get tired?
Yeah.
But when you can't, you ain't. And
Mhm.
I had kids, I couldn't. And then I was already interested. And
Yeah.
then it was, and then I'm like, oh man, it's
Same
up.
with me. Like I'm on this for my kids. It's not for me, it's for them.
Man, and they understand it so well. Like, when I let my kids go back and listen to our sessions, and
Oh,
yeah, you're gonna be surprised at their natural common sense or natural
yes,
responses to
I
what they
love
hear.
that. Oh my gosh, that's
You're gonna be
amazing.
like, you're gonna look at them like, how was you thinking this? Or, you know what, you were exactly right. Like, because they're gonna tell you stuff that's common sense, just on a natural level, that you're
hmm
gonna be like, we know what we've been learning. And I'm
hmm
telling you, let them listen. Let them listen and say, what do you think about this? Like, I got a conversation on my Instagram homepage with me and Quad talking.
hmm
And the way they rationalize this information for themselves, the way they intake it to understand it, is exactly what it is. And it's just amazing that if we just continue to grow that seed, they're going to be powerful people, powerful individuals.
Yes, I'm so excited for them now.
Yes, me too. I love it. And they mock and talk junk and have fun, but they know.
That's
They'll
amazing.
become knowledgeable when they get of age. Before I allow them to use that credit card, before I give them their social security card. I'm gonna not or be withholding it from them for purpose. Besides my mom withholding it from me simply because I wasn't 18 yet. She didn't know why she was holding it from me. She didn't know why she was giving it to me besides I needed for all the loans to get money. That's the only
Yeah.
reason why.
But yeah, they can start using it now.
But we're gonna let them use it when they can use the credit card for appropriate age. The credit card that I'm speaking about is their social security card.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, but they can start using that. No?
They can, but they have to have consent. They're gonna have you over them, a guardian over them,
Well, yeah.
somebody who's representing them. At the age of 18, they're legal. They don't need you anymore. They can use that number on their own.
Hmm.
Now they're of legal age to contract.
What's the legal age to contract?
18.
Oh, okay. But your kids aren't 18.
No, not yet. Mm-mm.
Okay, yeah.
I contracted for them. When they first was born,
Yeah.
I signed a contract saying that they can have that social security card. When they turn 18, they might have a problem with that if they haven't learned how to use it or don't know what it's for. And they may cancel that contract.
Mm.
Like I wasn't competent when I signed into this agreement. I was an infant. They're proving unconscionability. They're proving that the holder in due course, the United States, they don't have any type of defenses because they were an infant at the time that that contract was signed.
Hmm.
You're going to find that in volume 1. Or we may actually even get into a little bit of that here because I think I can make a correlation for you.
Mm.
But when we are born and we sign those documents, or our parents sign those documents on our behalf so that we do receive a birth certificate and they do sign up for us to get the social security number, that is them entering us into a contract with the United States until retirement age, which is 62 or 65. We're in a contract with the United States for that long. Unless we turn 18 and decide that we don't want to be a part of that contract no more. We don't want to
Wow.
be an asset of the United States anymore. We want to be an individual.
Hmm.
And that's where you have a lot of Moors or sovereigns making that claim that they are individuals.
Hmm.
I'm not whatever the United States created for me to be. I'm not that.
Hmm.
So, that's when you get people with different, just different perspectives, and that's why they're allowed or are able to do certain things. By knowing and understanding the information, you're able to look out and look at everything and say, okay, I see what was created here. I see what was done. And you get to decide if you want to be a part of that because we live in a land of the free where everybody got equal opportunity to choose.
Hmm.
That's what makes America great.
In the contract, it does say negotiability in it.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Wow. Okay, I gotta look.
I can't wait till we get to your contract. I'm gonna post some stuff. I know I said that I will over the weekend, but
No,
whew,
that's
you
okay.
don't even know. But I have some inserts from a mortgage modification agreement that I just read. So I'm just gonna just do that today after my meeting. So definitely be on the lookout.
I will. Yeah, now I'm looking at all your stories to be like, what's my quiz? Where's the quiz?
So what are the requirements of a negotiable instrument? What do you need in order to be a negotiable instrument? What does a document need in order to be a negotiable instrument? In order to be a negotiable instrument, it must be in writing. These documents must be in writing. It must be signed by the drawer or the maker of the check.
Hmm.
So, in the case of negotiable instruments that is sent to us when we're dealing with our bills, it
Yeah.
is sent to us in writing and it is signed by the drawer because we have their logo. That's their
Mhm.
signature. And it is also signed by the maker of the check because we have our all caps name on there, but we're also going to be signing that document. But just for the sake of actually receiving the instrument, it has two signatures on that document.
But
Where
so
it came from,
drawer and maker of the check are different. Drawer
yes, they're going to be different people.
Bailey.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought it was the same. But so
So
drawer
it's going to be
Bailey.
different depending on how you're using or
Well,
how you
yeah.
assign the document. Because if I sign the document now, I am the maker. I'm the maker of it because I just assigned and gave value to this check. But before, a drawer signed it, and it still held its title of being a negotiable instrument.
Okay, but drawer is like the Bailey because they drew the funds.
So the drawer is going to be the merchant or the seller because they drew the funds. The merchant, they gave the promissory note to the bank so that they can draw those funds. The way that they're going to send those funds back to you, make payment, repayment of those funds back to you is by receiving receipts. So
Okay.
they drew that.
Oh, I'm thinking of when we get our bills in the mail.
We become the drawee at that point.
Okay.
So
Mhm.
we're definitely, I'll identify that for
Okay.
you to help you put maker, drawer, drawee all on, give it a position. I'll help you with that. I could design something for you.
Okay.
But when we receive a negotiable instrument, it has where we got it from. Even if you go get a money order, if you get a money order from Western Union, you have their logo, their signature right there letting you know who made that instrument, who drew that instrument, who created that.
Mm-hmm.
When we receive our bill, we have the merchant logo. The logo, the merchant helped create that document by creating a contract with me and you.
Mm-hmm.
So without that contract, they would never even have that document. And because of the drawee, us, the one who's going to be drawing those credits or the one who withdrew those credits, we receive it. And we're going to be giving it back to a payee, the person who paid the credits, the financial institution. That is who we would not see on our bill. When you go back into volume one and run it into here, you'll get more light bulbs on that.
Okay.
But our negotiable instrument or a negotiable instrument has to be in writing and it has to be signed. That signature can happen with a symbol, which will come from an actual company, or with the signature that will come from you or a specified person. And that signature or symbol, it includes the order to pay or promise to pay. And it's unconditional. When we receive our bill in the mail, we receive a negotiable instrument in writing that is signed by the drawer with the signature as an order or a promise to pay. That is unconditional. Check, credit, debit, online, on a computer, in person.
And so
So
when
all
it's
of
a
the
promise, when it's a promise to pay, they call it promissory note, and when it's an order, they call it a draft, a check.
exactly. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. 100%. And due to that promissory note, these merchants has the promise to pay us this document. And we're going to order that document to a third party
Is it
for fine.
always like the secured party or,
It's
well,
always going to be a secure party or a financing agency. It's
yeah,
never going to be to the person who you opened up the account with. It's never
yeah.
going to be back to Capital One or back to, it's never going to be them. It's always going to be a third party. And even if you look at your bill, it may come from Capital One in one state to you in another state and then to a third party in another state. Maybe someone
Mhm.
who works for Capital One, but it's not going to be Capital One.
But
They don't
sometimes,
want payment of that instrument from you.
well, but sometimes you like they could, but they're gonna shop it to a
If
finance.
we
They're
restrict
gonna.
the endorsement to them,
Oh, okay.
then we limited that document to them.
But then they
But
know. Well, I guess we have to instruct them on what to do. Otherwise, they'll be like, I don't want this.
exactly. And in your agreement, you're going to see that they ask you a lot of times not to restrict the endorsement.
Hmm. I see.
So you're going to see because they want to transfer that document unless they're taking it for collection. If they're taking it for collection, then they're not going to be doing anything with the document but collecting it.
Hmm. They need the price.
They need the price. Capital One is giving you that bill so that in return for giving you that bill, they get the price, not the bill.
And they need that
They'll
price to cover their loan basically because they have to pay it back.
exactly
They got a lump
100%.
sum, but they can use that
Yes.
lump sum to trade and make money. So, but they only pay little back, and that's how they make the money as a difference, right? It's just
Yes.
interest.
Oh my God.
Okay, I get it.
Oh my God. Yes. 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 So that's why they said on a repayment plan because it was already paid. You just have to
Yeah,
pay back smaller amounts.
yeah, and it's all a refund to us.
Yes. Oh my God. A refund of our credits that we had sold them or extended to them in the beginning.
Exactly.
Oh
And they
wow.
cause they got that though, they got the loan at a
Yes.
discounted rate.
Yes.
So it's just a difference in rates that makes their money, how they make money.
APR. And
Okay.
APR is what you're going to see in your pricing information in your contracts.
And we're gonna go over all that, right?
Oh, 100%. We're going to go over on October 12th as well, but 100% personally, we are going to go over it.
Okay. Wow. Maya, I don't
These
know how you figured all this out, but hats off.
look, thank you. Studying, being in it, and just man, doing everything that I tell people not to do, which is basically trial and error. Like, look, don't do that. Like, look, I'm telling y'all, just look at the information. It's gonna help you. Like, it's gonna help you. But so many, they feel like the information is too much, but it just has to be laid out so that you can get to what you need because the information can lead you to so much.
Mm-hmm. No, yeah, I'm loving this. This is
But
what.
one thing that I want you to keep in your mind is that that information is going to be described on a negotiable instrument in writing. That's how they're going to communicate this to you. No other way. Unless in your agreement they give an option for orally, you could do this or do that. But
Mm-hmm.
other than that, we communicate by way of negotiable instruments in writing.
Mm-hmm.
To promise to pay and order another to pay because we not paying. Not cash,
No, you have
but
to
we
pay
paying
forward.
non-cash.
You either pay forward or for the good.
Exactly. Exactly. And you will see on a lot of bills they'll say request forward returned or request forwarded return forwarded or something like that, which will indicate that they will want you to forward the good. So
Mm.
request for a return.
Wow.
So it's up to us to and it's boldly too. It's boldly and conspicuously there.
Mm. Yeah, we just don't know.
Man, that's all. But we learning and
Mm.
we learning. That's just all it is. The structure not gonna change because some people don't know. It's either you know and hop on and get
Yeah,
it, or you know what I'm saying, or you just won't because you that's an
and it,
option in the
it
United
won't
States.
even, and yeah, and it won't even matter when they get rid of cash because it's all credit, it's all the same. It's never going to
Hello.
change.
And it's never gonna matter.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe if we want to exchange this US dollar in Mexico, maybe because it's worth more.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Only where it makes sense. And in the United States, it don't.
Yeah, cool. So if we learn this, it doesn't even matter about the dollars crashing, the dollar, blah, blah, nothing like,
That's all stock market exchange things that you can happen or expect to happen on the financial
yeah.
markets. They're going up and down. They
Mm-hmm.
didn't hide it. They have a whole Wall Street. They
Yeah,
did not hide what they
so
were doing.
that's never going to go away because it's all tied into the
Never.
APR, it's tied into the credit.
Tied into commerce, tied into property, tied
It's,
into assets,
yeah,
tied into investments
in
to
the
help
energy, the
create this credit.
exchange. Yeah.
Yes, yes, to help bail us out.
Mm-hmm.
They all do this at an exchange rate, an APR,
Mm-hmm.
all according to that Wall Street prime rate.
Wow.
They never hit it ever, like ever. We just understood it. That's all. And they didn't teach us this in school. Like, what the heck?
Well, no,
They taught us how to operate and use the consumer, but not necessarily what it do.
you know, they just teach us
So,
how to be good slaves.
man, how to work. And this is work too. This is
Oh yeah.
work.
This
This
has
is
a
work.
better payoff.
A way better payoff. You have to get trained, just like with any other job. But people are not going through training; they are just jumping straight into the job and failing.
Mm-hmm. No, this is hard.
Man, but it's beautiful. It's fun. It could be
Yeah,
fun
it is.
if you
Like you
have,
get,
you know,
yeah, it's fun and liberating, but yeah, sinister and ugly if you don't get it.
man. If you don't get it, and I be looking at so many people, and it's like, you gonna start to feel so many different ways. It's no longer
Oh, I
going to be
know.
about the information. It's going to be about how you can help other people and how you can't help other people, and that's where your dilemma gonna come from.
Oh, I know. Well, I've already felt like that. Just knowing the information that I know and like just feeling sorry for people that there are people that are just like
Man.
dying, stressing over paper.
And so lost, and then they are taking courses from everywhere and everybody on different levels and
Yeah.
teaching different things, and it's just making them dig them deeper and deeper into confusion, oppression, stress, worry, and it's just like it's enough of that from the US. Like that's
Yeah.
not what we should be getting from one another, like for real.
Mhm. Yeah.
But hey, they learn from the best, the United States. They just acting
Mhm.
just like them,
True.
acting like they master
That's
the
so
people who they
funny.
hate so much.
Exactly. You know how kids are like, I'll never be like my parent, but then they end up being like their parent? That's exactly it.
I swear to God. I swear to God. And they create all these businesses just like they parent and take money from people just like they parent. Like, come on.
Mm-hmm.
We have to really like wake up and be an individual.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't want to play the game, the rat race. I'm not doing that.
Now, if I'm playing it as an individual who know how to use each piece on the board. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not playing Monopoly in the blind.
Mm-hmm.
So, how do you become the holder of a negotiable instrument? And we'll end our session here so that you can review the hour video. But
Okay.
how do we become the holder of these negotiable instruments? Negotiable instruments are issued to you. So you receive these documents by tender, so it's issued to you. And negotiable instruments is also issued to the financing agency, who is the holder of our contracts. You are issued a negotiable instrument by way of endorsement. So if it is endorsed to a person, then that is a way for you to become a holder of the instrument. Our bills was signed, endorsed by the merchant, and then delivered to us. Our name is right up under there. So it's signed with their name with a limitation of coming to us, who they endorsed it to. And then we're going to sign and endorse it to another and make them become the holder of the instrument, just like they're the holder in due course because they hold that contract, because they were issued that contract.
Mm-hmm.
Another way you become a holder of a negotiable instrument is if a person is the bearer of the document. So if you have the document in your possession, if you hold that document, then you are considered to be the holder of the instrument. Or if it's payable to you and you are a bearer, then you are the holder of the instrument. So in order to hold these instruments, they must be issued to you, endorsed, and you must be the bearer of that document. You must actually have that document in your possession. So once we sign and endorse our negotiable instrument, our bill to another person, they're going to become the bearer of that document. We want to make sure that we get the holder in due course that instrument.
When you
The
say
holder.
endorse, though, sorry, going back, because you sign it at the bottom. Now, endorse, is that different where you go on the back?
So no, endorse is like who
The
sponsored
bottom.
you. So when yeah, either on the bottom. But when you
Okay.
see, so this word is spelled, you'll see it spelled E-N and I-N.
Yeah. Well, I know
So
that endorse is financial, IN.
right. So that's going to serve for our, and the endorsement is going to serve for the merchant and maybe Visa, Discover, whoever may be in that corner. That's who endorsed this transaction. When we sign it, we are a person who is endorsing it to another so that we can transfer that document in their possession and make them the bearer of the document.
Okay.
So we have their endorsement, which is their logo, symbol, sign, and then our signature, which is
Mm,
our endorsement
got it.
to another.
So on the back side, that's where you do restrictive.
You can do it on the front of the document
Oh,
because we
really?
learned
Oh,
what
so,
restrictive endorsement is, and it isn't a lot. You're either restricting it to be for a deposit or for a collection or to a
mm, okay. So like the back is nothing special. It's just,
no. The back is special when you're dealing with checks that you may receive from your bank.
oh, okay.
But when we're dealing with these drafts, these negotiable instruments, these checks, when you look into our agreements, what they want us to do is to sign it
Mm-hmm.
and use it for its purpose
Got it.
and return or resell it. But they cannot do anything with the document without our signature.
Where signature gives it life.
Yes, it shows that there's a living person to benefit behind this. If they want to identify us, then they'll say include your account number on your check. The account number is going to be used for to identify you. It's going to be the 9-digit number, not the account number that they have, but the number to identify a person, an individual. So I'm going to stop our recording so that it download
Yeah.
in a good amount of time.